Carlos Alcaraz does it. He becomes the third youngest ATP Masters 1000 champion ever, and also the first Spaniard to ever win in Miami. We're going to break it down, of course. Please remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. So, Carlos Alcaraz wins in straight sets versus Kasparood in what can only be described as dominant fashion in the end. He was actually 3-love down in the first set, and it was a question of, how's he going to come back into this? Because there's a breakdown, and Kasparood was playing some really good tennis, to be fair to him. Alcaraz making a few mistakes, and in the crucial points early on, wasn't managing to get the better of it, of Ruud, which I guess was a little bit surprising. However, as the game wore on, you just saw Alcaraz gain control in the match. So we're going to break down tactically what went on, also what it means. So as I said, he is the first Spaniard. So Nadal's made 5 Miami finals. He did actually make his first final in Miami as well at 18 years of age, but he wasn't able to win that one, and he hasn't won it since. So interesting that he's the only Spaniard, right? It's kind of crazy to say as well, considering there's such a large population of Spanish-speaking people in Miami. But really, really good from Alcaraz. He's been good throughout the whole tournament. He was my pick as well to win the tournament. So good to get a prediction right for once, which is nice. So let me just bring out the stats as well, and we'll talk through the match. So you can see here Alcaraz winning in straight sets, 7-5, 6-4, in pretty electric fashion, to be perfectly honest with you. Ruud definitely played his part. As they said in the post-match interview, he is the most decorated and, the kind of most accomplished Norwegian player ever. So he is taking and making new ground as he continues to progress. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ruud wins a Masters tournament on the clay coming up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins Roland Garros at some point in his career. Probably a little bit too early now, but you know what, he's definitely got the tools for it, that's for sure. So if we go into the match stats then, so 6 aces for Alcaraz, 5 for Ruud, double faults 2-3, first serve percentage at 71% for Alcaraz, 59% for Kasparood. So Alcaraz had a chance to break back at 3-1 down and didn't quite manage to get it done. He kind of made an inroad. He was love 30 down that game, and then came back to be add up after some fantastic plays, drop shots, lobs, all in effect. The forehand was firing or starting to fire at that point as well. But then Kasparood was really clutch in that game, managed to hold to go 4-1 up. So from there, you're thinking, surely no way we're going to be able to, or he's going to be able to come back from 4-1 down. And he just said, no, I'm going to do it. And he not only did he break Kasparood back, but he broke him back once and then broke him again to then go the breakup and win 7-5. So that was a really impressive trait that I think we've seen from Alcaraz in the last few months. And it has to be said that since that US Open little run that he had last year, where he beat Stefanos Tsitsipas in the second round, we can only say that he's been phenomenal, to say the least. Of course, winning, this is his 3rd title. He hasn't lost in a final yet as well. Won the Next Gen title. That was his first title. Then won in Rio as well. And now he's won his first ATP Masters 1000. And you can only imagine that Grand Slam will come at some point. It's just a question of when. But for him, huge kind of steps in the right direction. And Tony Nadal, obviously Rafael Nadal's dad, said that the improvements he's made have been meteoric in the last year or so. So I think he definitely has. You can see he's gone into the gym. He's kind of put on a little bit of lean mass. Obviously, not so much that he can't move, but just a little bit so that he's got a little bit more power. He's a little bit more sturdy. His movement is phenomenal, to say the least. And yeah, I mean, there's not really many weaknesses in his game. I think the only one, and I talked to a few people about this, including Amy as well. And I think there is a consensus that his first serve points anyway need to be worked on. For me, it's to do with the first serve. I think at times he doesn't hit his spots, and that's why he is vulnerable to getting broken like he did in that first set early on. And if he doesn't hit his spots, he can serve at 130 plus miles per hour. That doesn't matter if you're serving down the middle of the box against someone like Kasparood, who's a pretty damn good returner, to be fair. So I think, that's something that he can clearly work on. And also the one plus shot as well, making sure that is a forehand and making sure that it's also an effective forehand. It's not down the middle of the court. It's one that gets him into the rally and gets him on the front foot straight away. So that's something that I think he needs to be doing, and hopefully he will. But yeah, really, really positive from Alcaraz. Don't want to say too much because generally I think it would be fantastic. I think it would be. It's been fantastic from Carlos Alcaraz. Right, let's get into the rest of the stats. Then you can see their first serve points won 75% as well, compared to 60% for Ruud. So Ruud not having as much success behind the first serve. Alcaraz is a very good returner himself, likes to step in and be aggressive on the returns. There was talk about him hitting a lot of backhands and forehands down the line, almost trying to, I guess, cut the time that Kasparood had. On these slower courts, I guess, on hard court as well, that's probably an effective tactic in the sense that Kasparood does like to have time, especially on the forehand side. He likes these courts because they are slightly slow. They are relatively similar in the way that they play to clay. Of course, the movement's different, but how quickly it comes on is very similar. So I think he was trying to stop Ruud from having that time on the forehand, and especially by going down the line to the backhand, it's very tough to kind of run around it when someone's gone forehand down the line, especially with the type of forehand that Alcaraz has. Then we look at the second serve points, 45% to 53%. So you can see there, and something again for Alcaraz to work on is the second serve. I think, that again, the MPH is there, the pace is there, but is necessarily the placement there? Yeah, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And then really impressively is breakpoint saved 75% for Alcaraz, which is really, really impressive for sure. And you can see that 56% for Kasparood. Alcaraz did go a double break up in the second set, and then he conceded one on the breaks, but then managed to seal the deal to win 6-3 in the end. So yeah, it was a very, very good match. I mean, I think just to sum it up in terms of, I guess, patterns of play, there was a lot of coming to the net, to be fair, at times from both, which was good to see. I think Kasparood knew that he had to vary his game because I think generally, if we look at it, right, Kasparood has been very good from the back of the court, a steady player. Coming to the net, doesn't look the most comfortable, but he played a couple of good points where he managed to approach the net nicely and put away the volley. But at times, he did get passed. At times, he did get lobbed. And that will happen. Also, I think he got dragged into the net at times because Alcaraz would play a drop shot. Sometimes they were winners, and we know how good that drop shot is. But sometimes it would be something he'd get to, and Alcaraz would then try to pass him or lob him at the net. So interesting little dynamic there. And then also Alcaraz serving and volleying. And it was fantastic to see him serve volley as well on the match point. So he had 3 match points. He was cool as a cucumber, opened up 3 match points on his serve, 40 love up, and then serve volleyed, put it away. It was a fitting way as well, I think, for me, because he's someone who, maybe when he first came onto the tour, he was just a baseliner. He has, in a very short period of time, evolved and adapted his game so much that I genuinely feel like he is such a good all-round player, and he is an all-court player, and I think he'll be a danger on all surfaces. He's willing and happy to come serve volley. He's happy to come to the net. He's happy to stay on the baseline. He can do so many different things, and I think that's what makes him so good. His transition game's fantastic. He can defend really well, as we've seen. I mean, his side-to-side movement is phenomenal. His up-and-down movement's great as well. And at times, he'd hit this forehand slice defensively, and you think, how did he get to that? And the forehand slice would be deep, and then he'd be back into neutral, which was just so impressive. So, yeah, really, really good from Carlos Alcaraz. He marches on the Spaniard, and of course, we will now be going into the clay court swing, where both these guys will be looking to have some sort of success. So, interesting times. Fantastic win for Carlos Alcaraz. He will now move up to, I think it is number 11 in the world, or it could actually be Could he have broken into the top 10? I'm not sure if he can. Let's see. Let's have a look at the live ranking for the ATP. So, yeah, number 11. Nori's at number 10. Yeah, really, really interesting. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Please do remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And we'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.